On the night of March 14, 2019, 2 women died. One collapsed in the parking lot of a 24-hour laundromat in Bakersfield, California. The other was found slumped over the steering wheel of a rented Nissan Altima on a desolate stretch of highway outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. They were separated by exactly 312 miles of desert, mountain, and empty road. They died within the same 4-hour window. And when investigators finally compared photographs of the 2 victims, they discovered something that would haunt everyone involved in both cases for years to come. The women were identical, not similar, not bearing a family resemblance. Identical, the same nose, the same unusual pattern of freckles across the left cheekbone, the same small scar above the right eyebrow, the same rare blood type, the same genetic markers that would later confirm what seemed impossible. They were twins, and neither one of them knew the other existed. This is a story about secrets, about the lies families tell to protect themselves, or to protect others, or simply because the truth became too heavy to carry. It's about 2 women who lived completely separate lives, who never shared a birthday cake or a childhood memory, who never looked into a mirror that looked back. And it's about the night that mirror finally appeared, reflected in death, raising questions that still don't have satisfying answers. Let me take you back to the beginning. Not the night they died, but the night they were born. November 3, 1983, St. Catherine's Hospital in Reno, Nevada. A 17-year-old girl named Patricia Holloway checked in alone at 11 in the evening, already deep into labor. She gave a fake name at the front desk, Diane Mitchell, and paid cash for everything. The staff would later remember her as quiet, scared, and completely alone. No family, no boyfriend, no one to hold her hand while she brought 2 lives into the world. The delivery was difficult. Patricia was young, malnourished, and had received almost no prenatal care. When the first baby emerged at 2:47 a.m., she was small but healthy, crying with surprising strength for her size. The second came 11 minutes later, and this one was silent. The doctors worked on her for nearly 3 minutes before she finally drew breath, and even then, the cry was weak and thready. Patricia held them both for exactly 22 minutes. We know this because a nurse named Eleanor Vance documented it in her personal journal, a journal that wouldn't be discovered until 36 years later, long after Eleanor herself had passed. In that journal, Eleanor wrote that Patricia whispered something to each baby before the social worker arrived. She kissed them both on the forehead, and then she handed them over and walked out of that hospital without looking back. The twins were separated within 48 hours. The first baby, the strong one, was placed with a couple named Richard and Sandra Mercer from Bakersfield, California. They named her Amanda. They told her she was adopted when she was 6 years old, showed her the paperwork, answered her questions with patience and love. But the paperwork they had didn't mention a twin. It didn't mention Patricia Holloway. The adoption had been handled through a private agency called Bright Futures Family Services, and Bright Futures, as we'll learn, was very good at keeping secrets. The second baby, the quiet one, went to a different family. Thomas and Maria Reyes, from Santa Fe, New Mexico, had been trying to conceive for 7 years. When Bright Futures called them 3 days after the birth and told them a baby girl was available, they drove through the night to collect her. They named her Elena, and unlike the Mercers, the Reyes family never told their daughter she was adopted at all. Elena grew up believing she was biologically theirs, never questioning the slight differences in complexion, never wondering why no baby photos existed from her first week of life. 2 babies, 2 families, 2 completely different lives, branching off from that single cold November night like parallel lines that would never intersect. Except they did intersect. Once. And neither of them ever knew it. Bakersfield, California is the kind of place that exists in the margins of the American imagination. It's not Los Angeles, though it sits just 100 miles to the north. It's not San Francisco or Sacramento. It's a sprawling grid of tract homes and strip malls, oil derricks nodding in the distance, the Sierra Nevada mountains visible on clear days like a postcard from somewhere better. Amanda Mercer grew up in a 3-bedroom ranch house on Oleander Avenue, In a neighborhood where the lawns were always brown by August and the ice cream truck came through every evening at 6. She was a good student, quiet but not shy. Teachers remembered her as thoughtful, always watching, always processing. She played clarinet in the middle school band, not because she loved music, but because her mother had played clarinet and it seemed like the right thing to do. She had friends, though none particularly close. She dated in high school, though nothing serious. She was the kind of person who moved through life without leaving much of a mark, not because she lacked depth, but because she kept that depth hidden. After graduating from Bakersfield High School in 2002, Amanda enrolled in community college, studied accounting, and eventually took a job at a property management company downtown. She worked there for 15 years. Her co-workers would later describe her as reliable, punctual, and pleasant, but distant. She never talked about her personal life. She never joined them for happy hour. She ate lunch alone at her desk every single day. What no one knew, not her co-workers, not her aging parents, not anyone, was that Amanda had been searching. For years, she'd been submitting DNA samples to ancestry websites, scouring adoption forums, sending letters to agencies that never wrote back. She was looking for her birth mother. She wanted answers about where she came from, about the medical history she didn't have, about the woman who had given her away. She never found Patricia Holloway. But in February of 2019, 3 weeks before her death, Amanda's computer search history showed that she had found something else entirely. Santa Fe, New Mexico is a different world from Bakersfield. It's a city of adobe and art galleries, of turquoise jewelry and spiritual retreats, of wealthy retirees and struggling artists living side by side. Elena Reyes grew up in a small house in the South Capitol neighborhood, close enough to the plaza to walk there on summer evenings, far enough from the tourist crowds to feel like she lived in the real Santa Fe. She was nothing like Amanda. Where Amanda was quiet, Elena was loud. Where Amanda observed, Elena participated. She was the star of her high school drama program, the girl who could make anyone laugh, the one who threw parties that lasted until dawn. She burned through friendships and relationships with equal intensity, always moving on to the next thing before the current thing had ended. After high school, Elena bounced. Community college for a semester, a job at a gallery that lasted 6 months, a relationship with an older man that took her to Tucson, then to Phoenix, then back to Santa Fe when it fell apart. She worked as a bartender, a waitress, a massage therapist, a real estate assistant. She was 35 years old and had never held the same job for more than 2 years. But Elena was also searching, though she didn't know it. She was searching for something to fill the emptiness that had lived inside her for as long as she could remember. She tried meditation, therapy, medication, religion. Nothing worked. She told her best friend once, in a rare moment of vulnerability, that she felt like half a person, like some part of her was missing and she didn't even know what shape it was supposed to be. She was right. She just didn't know how right she was. On March 13, 2019, Elena Reyes rented a car from the Flagstaff airport and began driving west toward California. She told no one where she was going. She left no note. Her phone records would later show that she had received a single text message that morning from an unknown number, a message that contained only an address. The address was for a 24-hour laundromat in Bakersfield, California. And here's where this story takes its darkest turn. Because Amanda Mercer's phone records showed that she had sent that exact message from a prepaid phone purchased 3 days earlier to a number she had found through an ancestry website's DNA map.